with my husband for 22 years, which is a good outing. We've been married for 18, and there is something we've learned in the time that we've been married, this thing called the space between. So there's him over here, and there's me over here, and then there's the space between us, which is almost the third party in the relationship. And I think around 6 or 7 years into our marriage, this creature started evolving in that space between, which I call the manatee. I didn't know anything about manatees when I made the name up, so I apologize, because actually manatees are very gentle creatures. And if you're a manatee lover, you'll have to forgive me. Should I move this or turn it down a little bit? I'm hearing feedback. When I think of a manatee, I think of a blobby sea monster, sort of faceless, blurry, mythical, unexpected. And that's why I called this thing a manatee, because sometimes my husband and I have the best intentions. We love each other so much, and we had many years of happiness, but we've also had a lot of unhappiness. And so I would call it the manatee because it just came out of nowhere. We'd be having a perfectly fine time, and all of a sudden we'd be arguing about a handful of almonds. I mean, literally, the stakes could be extremely low, but it didn't feel low stakes. It still doesn't feel low stakes. And anything can feel, so I started calling it the manatee. And here's the thing about the manatee. The manatee travels. He has his own frequent flyer miles, and he often would come on vacation with us. In fact, I remember a few vacations out in the Hamptons. I remember having a fight right in front of this theater, actually, like a kiddie movie. And it was one of those fights that I can remember because of the feeling. I don't remember what we were fighting about, but I just remember the feeling, which was, how are we going to get out of this? This might be bigger than us. And that was a long time ago. That was when my kids were little. My daughter's now 15, and my son is 12. So we went on vacation like a year and a half ago. We went on a really great trip. We went to Colorado for a ski trip, and we were in Denver, and we were going to fly to Denver and then drive to Aspen. And when we were in Denver at the airport, the manatee was already there with his suitcase, I loving Colorado. And again, we were fighting over something that I said in front of a gift kiosk about aromatherapy, really. I mean, I remember actually, but yeah, stupid. So we went to have lunch at this restaurant in Denver, and I was already out of my mind with just, there's going to be a whole week of this is going to be awful. And so I took a walk. I said, you guys, oh wait, and I want to talk about neighborhood because this is a neighborhood theme. So let me tell you about the neighborhood. So we're in Denver in this neighborhood, and it feels like a new neighborhood, like one of those neighborhoods that they built, and you build it and the people will come. Like all the stores were new, the restaurants were new, everything was very fresh feeling. It might just be because it was Colorado. I live in New Jersey and things don't feel that fresh there. As much as I love it, because I am very Jersey proud. I have a friend here. Don't go back and tell them I said anything about New Jersey. We love it there, but Denver just feels a little fresher. So it was sunny, it was this new neighborhood. There was a lot of empty storefronts, and I was sort of wandering around. I had no idea where I was, and I wandered into this New Age gift shop. And I'm no stranger to the New Age gift shop. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I'm no stranger to the New Age. Born into it. I was born for the New Age. I mean, I just asked a lot of questions. I also had a lot of childhood pain. So by the time I was 20, I was already looking for something to help me, to heal me, to make me feel better. So I'll spend money at a shop like that. But never on merchandise, always on books. I'm always about the books, not the merchandise. I don't do candles, unicorns, fairies, or crystals. Again, no problem if you do. But at this gift shop, I went into this kind of blackout, and I just wandered like a zombie over to the gems, minerals, and crystals. And there was this crystal on the shelf, and I just grabbed this crystal, and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't ask any questions. I just took it to the cash register, and this thing cost $80 for a rock. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I just bought it. I didn't ask any questions. I just took this thing and I ran. And I went back to my family, and they were like, "What did you do that for? Why do you have that?" It was almost like I picked up a guy in a bar. Because when we were on vacation together, I had it with me. I put it. It's a little phallic, this crystal. It's about this big, and it is shaped like, well, a phallus. and I won't go into more detail than that, but it's a rock, and it's not a person. And I would like stick it next to my place setting. I slept with it under my pillow. I took a bath with it. Like, I didn't know what to do with it. I don't know anything about crystals, but I had it with me on this trip. And on this trip, something happened. Well, fighting happened between my husband and myself. The manatee knows how to ski. And so we put the kids in ski school one day, and we were going to ski. It was going to be a romantic day. We were going to have the day to ourselves, and we were bickering. And I remember we were on a ski lift, and we were fighting about whose family is smarter. Mine. My family's smarter, but my family's also crazier, so it kind of cancels itself out. But he didn't appreciate it. He doesn't appreciate, and it's an argument we've had before, so it was one of our classics. So we're on the ski lift, and I look over, and I'm here, my husband's here, and the manatee's like sitting right between us with his goggles on. And I felt like the whole chair of the ski lift was being weighed down by this stuff that happens between us. And I mean, I'm making light of it now because that's how I deal with things that are painful. I mean, I can't really describe how it was just year after year of this stupid fighting over nothing, and we both didn't want to do it, but we were both doing it. Like, it was like we were both contributing, but we didn't want it to happen. So we got to the top of the ski lift, and I skied away from him. I was like, I'm not skiing with you today. And when I tell you I love this man, I don't sound like I do, but I love this man. He's everything to me. But something happens between us, and it just gets dirty. So I skied off, and I skied across the ridge we were way up high on the mountain, and I just was like desperate. And I skied off, and there was these, they put the red sticks up across, like, don't go into avalanche territory. I was like, I don't care! And the skull in the front says, I don't want to let anyone, the manatee, I'm like, God! And so I skied, and I skied over but obviously, I chickened out. I didn't ski off the edge of the world, and I'm still here. I was desperate, but I wasn't that desperate, as it turns out. And I stopped, and I thought, and I had this moment. And I just had this moment. And this is after years of, we've done a lot. We've done couples therapy. We went on like 3-weekend workshop with Oprah's guru from the 80s. Her marriage guru from the 80s. The current one is too expensive. But the guy from the 80s is going cheap. So we went on 3 weekends with him, and we've done all kinds of 12-step work, codependency work, and because like I said, I try. I'm a trier. And I have lain with my head on his chest so many nights crying, and us just being like, are we those people that are supposed to get divorced? Because I don't know. Like, when you're inside of a marriage, well, the only other marriage I've ever been inside of is my parents, which wasn't pretty, and his parents, which is almost, worse. We don't know. We do not know. We don't have a model. And so that moment on the ski slope, I had a moment of clarity, and I thought, you know what, we're going to have to get divorced. I'm going to be one of those people that gets divorced. And I took a selfie because I felt like this is the only moment I've ever had that I felt this clear about it. And the selfie is not a very good picture, which is unfortunate. You don't want to look old in your divorce selfie. But I do. Well, I have a helmet. It doesn't help. So I took this photo, and I still have this photo. And that was like a year and a half ago. And since then, there's been more processing. And I tell my husband everything. We're best friends. So I skied down the slope and informed him of the whole moment. And he's much better. He's much more of a soldier than I am. He has a higher tolerance for pain. And I think he would go on forever the way it was. But I had given up. And that was like a year and a half ago, and this is not, the happy ending story. He moved out on June 1st of this year, and June was awful. I mean, awful is an understatement. I couldn't really have predicted how dark it would feel. But somewhere in that month, a friend of mine dragged me to a crystal store. So now we're going to go back to the manatee and the crystal. And he took me to this crystal store, and they had my crystal for sale at the store, like the twin crystal. And I said, well, what is this crystal? Like, I bought it, I don't even know what it is, but what do these crystals do? And she told me that they're, if you believe in this stuff. It's a little woo-woo, but stay with me. So she told me that some people believe that crystals are master teachers, and that they take one breath every 100 years, which I think is kind of cool. And that this particular crystal is all about intention, and that you don't choose the crystal, it chooses you. Which totally explains why I walked zombie-ish. I'll do that at Target. I definitely buy stuff in a blackout at Target. But at a gift shop, that's why I bought that crystal. And so you can believe it or you cannot believe it, but the reason it meant something to me is because I don't want to get divorced. I didn't choose it. I don't want it. My husband doesn't want it, and yet we can't seem to stop it. I don't know how it's going to end. I will say that since he moved out, the manatee is shrinking, but I could probably live with the manatee, and I don't know if the supernatural is even responsible for this, but sometimes we don't know when we're making choices, and sometimes choices are made for us.